everybody, welcome to Kingdom of Honor Does Pop Culture. I'm your host, Zan Shane Sabuni, along with my good buddy, the Honorable Jeff.
Hello.
And a couple of months ago, like we were talking, Jeff and I were uh, instant messaging about the releases for this Warner Brothers HBO Max thing, and he said, "Yeah, there's some real rough stuff coming up." And I said, "Yeah, like Mortal Kombat." And he said, "No, I'm actually looking forward to that one." Well, Jeff, boy, were you wrong to do that.
Oh my God, what a no. Yeah, I was wrong. I guess there wasn't one in between. It was Tom and Jerry, and then, two movies I was looking. We were talking before we went on live here, but March 31st was Godzilla versus Kong,
Right.
and then it went straight to this pile of crap. And then The Conjuring is on June 4th. So looks like there's nothing in May. So yeah, what's that fantasy series we're talking? Sorry to, derail the train here, but
Shadow and so what we're talking about is we're going to cover the new Shadow and Bone series on Netflix the next couple of weeks. So we'll do like 4 episodes each show. So, so it's called Shadow and
God,
Bone,
I don't know. Keep looking. It should be there.
based
Shadow
on
and
a
Bone, huh?
based on a novel by some lady. I can't think of her name right now.
Some lady.
I like had it in my head when I started the sentence. I can't
Shadow
remember.
and Bone, and it's on Netflix, new fantasy series. All right, we'll give the first 4 episodes of that a go for next week.
All right, sounds
But
awesome.
as far as this week, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it, please, dear God, don't. Um, if you have seen it and your thoughts may differ, I mean, I,
Well, I don't know. Are there thoughts going to differ? I mean, has there ever actually been a good movie based on a video game?
well, it depends on your level of good. If you're looking at um, if it was watchable and enjoyable and hey, we should, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel. I can think of a couple. Resident Evil, and then I can't think of Silent Hill were the two that immediately come to mind as really, really well done movies. Doom wasn't bad. Uh, to be honest, when the first Mortal Kombat came out, I truly enjoyed it. But I think a lot of it was the story that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the fact that this was it was Liu Kang, and it was his discovery of being this chosen one that was going to win them Mortal Kombat, and he went through his whole trials and everything. And I thought when I first started watching this, because it was obvious the dude that was killed way, centuries ago, that was the precursor to Scorpion. And this whole movie, I'm thinking that Cole's journey is going to release him as Scorpion. Um, Instead, his power is the ability to create something that he could have just carried into the fight with him.
Yup.
Everyone else, every other Mortal Kombat person, they can shoot lightning and ice and fire and throw, this guy can create knives that he could have carried in with him. I don't get
And some kind of body armor too.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and he's able to like summon the spirit of his great forever 4,000 years ago grandfather to actually be the Scorpion.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know, what did he really summon him? Because all it was he was holding the knife that had his blood on it, but as soon as Sub-Zero touched it, and here we're jumping right, so you guys, spoiler alerts, but we're jumping right towards the end. Um, the Sub-Zero touched it and summoned him.
Hmm.
It wasn't. Cole absolutely had nothing to do with it.
Well, I guess that's I guess we don't know that for sure because the movie was so well written that it's hard to
Oh,
tell.
yeah, that's true. That was, but that was one of those things where it's like, here I'm this whole movie. I'm like, I can't wait till he becomes Scorpion. I can't wait till he becomes Scorpion. That's what they're leading to. You can tell that's what they're leading to because it was the same. It was the same kind of journey that Liu Kang went on in the original one, where it was as this kind of down and out guy who needed to discover his true power and all this shit. Um, and then it ended up being a bodysuit, and it wasn't Scorpion after all. The other thing that kind of got me a little bit is outside of Prince Gano. Is it Prince Gano? I can't remember his name. The big forearm guy. But outside of Prince Gano, Cole didn't actually defeat anybody. he was getting his ass kicked by that one chick um, until Sonya Blade came in and shot her.
Hmm.
And then he was getting his ass kicked by Sub-Zero until his 4,000-year-old grandfather rose from hell as Scorpion. And then even at the end, Scorpion's like, this is mine. So he didn't actually win a fight. Even if you look at when he was a cage fighter, he didn't win a fight the entire show.
No, just don't want to get Squirrel, like you said. Yeah. The Yeah, I mean, Sub Zero is understandable because they had already talked about how it was going to take a team effort to beat Sub Zero because he was so powerful and mystical and all that stuff, but he was also a complete fucking idiot. So,
Right.
uh, what gets me about this movie, Jeff,
I don't
is
know
that
what.
is that there was actually people that were paid to write, direct, and edit this movie, and they all did a terrible job of it.
You know what the worst part about this movie was? The most likable character is the guy that I've got on my picture here. What's Kano or Kano?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Kano.
He was the only character in this entire movie that I really enjoyed. He was the most likable. He was the most relatable. He seemed to have the best character arc.
Hmm.
Kano actually was, in my mind, the star of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely stood out to everybody else in here, and he was, and he was a mercenary who turned on, who turned on the quote unquote good guys. Well, I guess they really were the guys 'cause they were trying to save the Earth, but he turned on them for money and power,
Did
which
he did he really turn on them? Because I never really felt like he was on their side anyway.
well, no, but I mean, he like I said, he was a mercenary, so he gets offered $3 million that Sonya doesn't actually have,
Right.
and then for like more money and power, exactly like Tyler should have done in the other movie we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Um, and one thing that you and I talked about when we were, I started watching this movie, and you had I think finished it like right before I started watching it on Friday night. Um, the beginning of the movie makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
It
Um,
yeah,
where and anyway, I just want to explain this to you guys that if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, then just follow along with me in case you didn't pick up on this. But and I can't see how you couldn't have, but just in case you didn't, because this is one of the prime examples of why did this guy do this? Because the movie had to happen.
yep.
Because Sub Zero's precursor, Bihan, the guy that eventually becomes Sub Zero, way in the future, um, has specifically gone to kill Hanzo Hiroshi or something like that, um, and make sure his bloodline ended. So he goes to his house where he's out chopping wood and stuff and gathering, stuff for his family, firewood and stuff like that. And he sees his wife, his younger son, or sorry, his baby son and his older son. He's actually confronting all three of them. He even looks down in the baby's crib and kind of smiles an evil smile and starts forming ice out of his hands. And he kills the wife and the older son and just leaves the baby alive.
Well,
Even
no,
though his
the baby had been hidden by then.
no, but he looked down at it and saw it with an evil expression on his face.
He never actually saw the baby. When
The baby was crying when he got there. They had to have known it was there.
I'm sure he did, but the baby was already in the chateau by the time Sub-Zero got there. And then when he stabbed that one person, they quickly hid the baby under the table, and surprisingly, the baby stopped crying right then and there.
Okay, sure. That yeah,
But
okay. So yeah, that just totally went out of his mind that there was a baby crying before that happened.
yeah,
Anyway, my point remains. He left the baby alive. He had to have known the baby was there, and he let it live, therefore not ending the bloodline. And then when he actually fights against Hanzo, he stabs him in the shoulder and walks away thinking he's killed him.
right.
And it turns out he actually has. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there.
And then 4,000 years later, he kind of repeats the same mistake because his goal is to end that bloodline, and he kidnaps Cole's wife and daughter
And leaves
instead of
him alive.
killing them
And leaves him alive.
and leaves them alive.
But
What a fucking idiot!
and it was weird because with the amount of brutality and everything, that almost felt like a we can't kill another kid. We already killed one. We reached our quota for this movie. If we kill another one, we're going to end up losing everybody. That's kind of the way it felt. Because the whole thing, like even when Cole when they kept talking about how Cole needed to find his inner strength or whatever, the thing I kept thinking is he's gonna have to have his family murdered just like Hanzo's was in order for him to find his strength. And then it turned out all that had to happen was some big giant forearm guy throwing punches at a car that his family was in.
Yep. Yep, and actually, and when Hanzo got killed by being stabbed in the shoulder, I was like, oh, okay, so they don't want to see people, they don't actually show people getting murdered. They want to see them, so their throats cut or stabbed in the heart, and then we see people like getting, you see all kinds of blood and gore later in the movie. I'm like, what the fuck was the point then? I don't understand.
I don't know. I thought from the opening bell that first fight with well, when that sword came through the wall and it was some guy getting split up the middle, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be a gory damn movie. And it didn't disappoint. It was a gory movie. I mean, yeah, okay, we didn't actually see Jax clap the hands and blow up that dude's head. We just saw it from the backside of Jax. Um, but I mean, you can't tell me when that one winged fight or whatever got split in half by the helmet that that wasn't a little rough.
Yeah, no kidding.
And even, I mean, I even noticed it with that fight in the beginning. When he took on, all those soldiers and everything, he's splitting people in half. I'm
Hmm.
like, holy crap, this is not what I was expecting. I'm glad I didn't sit down to watch this with my kid because I was sitting there thinking, hey, Mortal Kombat from when I was a kid, that was, it was a fun movie. There wasn't a whole lot. It was a video game movie. And if it was something similar to that, I would have been like, okay, yeah, my 10-year-old here, he can watch this. Um, no, uh-uh, mm-mm, mm-mm. Glad I didn't do that.
No, that's not a big movie for me to watch at all.
No,
Um, wasn't a good movie for me to watch at all either. Actually, I'll be honest with you, but
I just I
um,
I think my
yeah,
biggest disappointment was
and
Cole.
guys, if you have not seen this movie yet, and you just kind of want to see action that is reminiscent of playing the video game, then probably I start watching it like an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, and then you'll see some arena battles, and you'll have some fun with that. Those actions, the action sequences are a lot of fun, honestly, but just
Yeah,
trying to follow the plot of this movie is just ridiculous.
the biggest disappointment to me was Cole. That was
And well, yeah, Cole, I mean Cole, and then the other thing I want to say is I think it's kind of amazing that Jax's power was to turn his metal arms he didn't have as a like living person into better metal arms.
super
So
metal arms.
yeah,
Yeah, that one
that's quite the arcana right there.
that was a little bit rough, but at least he got super strength out of the deal. He didn't turn his power didn't turn his arms into creating a weapon out of midair that he could have carried with him. So at least there was something. I don't know. I
Fair.
was I was just disappointed, and not only that, but when you look at the like, and you probably don't understand the Mortal Kombat canon with the video games and everything. Cole's power does not exist. They created Cole and created Cole's power just for this movie.
I was wondering if he was like a newer character that I hadn't seen before. So
If he is, then it's in the brand new game that came out earlier this year that I haven't tried yet. But the whole time I'm sitting there thinking after they revealed his power, I'm just thinking of pitch meeting. Wait, that power's not in the video game. Where'd that come from? I don't know.
his power wouldn't be necessary in the video game. In the
No,
video game, you have your weapons and you're fighting, and I mean, there was kind of a cool spot where he had broken one of his, those arm blades that he had, and it did reform for him. So I mean, that's something you could not, necessarily do. This will bring like a whole bunch of them with you,
but talk
but
about a lame power for a main character.
it is. But what I'm saying is like in the video game, you wouldn't have to worry about that because you just have like you have your 2 or 3 rounds of fighting and then it's done. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, if you think about this whole movie, the main character was supposed to be Cole and his journey. And if I want to sit there and think about it, he was probably the third or fourth most important character. I mean, Hanzo obviously became Scorpion. Kano was the most relatable and likable. And Sonya Blade, it was mainly her journey to become a chosen one and develop the powers, and how everybody told her she doesn't matter and she's just a liability and all this stuff, and then to be the one at the end of the movie to kill two of the baddies.
Yeah, they picked a really bad, and uncharismatic actor. I shouldn't say bad, but a very uncharismatic actor to play the role of the main character in this one.
To create um, a character out of thin air just to make a movie happen is what they did.
Right.
Because like I said, as far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, somebody in the comments correct me, but I've never seen that character or any version of that character or anything like that character anywhere in the video game. And I've been playing it since 1992, I believe, when it first came out. Um, I've never seen that character. So it's like they created a brand new character when I think what would have made more sense would have been, because he was the bloodline of Hanzo, for him to become Scorpion.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have made a lot more sense.
Instead of Scorpion rising from hell, because when he was sent to hell, he actually conquered it. So is he Scorpion or is he the devil? What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, or even if like his grandfather come out and he had like merged with him to become Scorpion, and that was his power.
Yeah,
That
something
that
like
would
that.
that would have been awesome. Then you've got like all his then you got his like youth, but mixed with like the mastery of his grandfather.
I will say that beginning scene when he wrapped that um, rope around the cord and just started taking out everybody was badass. I really enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Um, I and I had texted you like I texted you at one point. I think it was like maybe 20 minutes to go in the movie. And I was like, "No, Johnny Cage, what a jip!" And then you're like, "Hang on." So I'm watching it, and that's kind of how they like they're actually like set up for a sequel to this piece of shit by,
Right,
sh- by, by showing that Cole was going out to Los Angeles to go recruit. Uh, well, he said he's going to Los Angeles, but then they kind of pan to a movie poster showing Johnny Cage on it.
right.
And so obviously Cole's going out there trying to recruit him for the next round of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, but when is the next round of Mortal Kombat? I thought Mortal Kombat was centuries in the making for
I
each
thought,
round.
yeah, yeah, I think so too.
And they literally just killed all of his warriors. And now, in order for it to be a real threat again anyway, or am I mistaken? Because he killed all of his warriors before the tournament actually started, is there still a Mortal Kombat tournament that's going to take place?
I don't know.
And he's got to create all of a sudden some brand new characters?
I have no
It,
idea.
it, it just, I don't know. It just,
No, he already said he had like legions of them that he was going to bring back, didn't he?
right, but who are they? Because
Well, no, we didn't. We didn't. No, we didn't see them. We don't know who they are. But
but
he
I'm
said he
just
had
saying,
thousands of them on it. He said he had thousands of them in Outworld, and it was just down to like the five of them. So
but basically what I'm saying is he's going to have to create more characters that aren't in the canon of the video game. So now we're not only going to have Cole, who's new, but we're going to have a whole bunch of brand new evil dudes.
no, I think there's plenty of people still from the video games they could have in there. They didn't have every single character in the video games in this one.
Um,
Um,
I'm trying to think because yeah, there were, but the big main ones outside Shao Tsung were killed. Reptile was killed. Prince Goro was killed. Sub-Zero was killed. I can't think of uh, the wing chick and the chick that had the snake or alligator mouth, whatever. I can't think of their
yep,
names.
yep, yep, yep. I think her name was Miliana or something like that.
But basically all of the main characters that I can think of from that game, if there are, they're like the B level ones that I never really played as, or again,
Right, but I think you're right about from the first game and the second game. But I mean, there's been like there's 11 of them now. So I mean, I think they add people every single game.
Oh, there's more than 11. There's a DC versus Mortal Kombat game that was actually really fun.
In the
Um,
main continuity I'm talking about, because Mortal Kombat 11 came out this year.
yeah, and I haven't played that one yet, so I guess I don't. The last one I played was like 3 years ago, so maybe I'm forgetting some characters, but I just know the ones that I knew, um, that I could think of off the top of my head. It seemed like they pretty much had them all.
Um, Another thing I just thought of and I thought about was I was watching it was all of the Mortal Kombat humans. let's call them humans. They had to obtain their arcana and find out what it was while they were fighting or while were in a dire situation. Sony just automatically knows what hers are right away.
They all did. That was another thing I was going to pick up on is that they found their arcana and then all of a sudden they just knew how to master it. Like
Right, but
immediately.
what I'm saying is Sonya had hers like, as soon as she killed Kano, all of a sudden she's shooting those rings out of her hands.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. But she'd already, I don't know, faced her inner demon or whatever the hell they were doing. I,
Was Kano her inner demon?
I guess. I, I don't know.
I'd really like to see I'd really like to see a movie with that guy like built the guy after that played Kano like built around a character similar to him. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
All right. So in Mortal Kombat 92, there was Cage, Kano, Kang, and Raiden, Scorpion, Sonya Blade, and Sub-Zero, Goro, Shang Tsung, and Reptile, and that was in the original
Yep. So that's all of them.
one. And
So
all of them
these
were in this movie.
they were. Yep.
Baraka, I believe, is who that mouth person was, and then Kentaro, Jade, and Jax. So we haven't seen Jade or Kentaro yet. Kung Lao came in Mortal Kombat 3. Noob Saibot, I believe they referenced that one. All right, yeah, I mean, there's Chameleon came out in Mortal Kombat 3. So, I mean, there are a few more. Cabal was in Mortal Kombat 3. So, I mean, I guess there are a ton more um, characters that they could introduce. I don't know. Meat.
Oh, Cabal.
Visit.
That reminds me. That reminds me. Like if I were to betray you and leave you for dead, and you came back with a full bodysuit on and red glowing eyes, I would definitely know who you are for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, like, Cabal, was he another one of these? Because didn't he get. I kind of thought that when they were talking about Cabal, that that's how Kano got the dragon mark was by defeating Cabal.
I thought
But
so too.
but if that's the case, I thought it only transferred on death, and Cabal clearly is not dead, and he has all these superpowers too.
Well, maybe it's immediately upon death, and maybe he was brought back to life by CPR or some kind of
But
electronic
then
means or something.
but then wouldn't he have lost his mark? Why would he have one too?
Oh, that's well. I don't know.
Oh, I know why.
Wait, well, wait? Did the ones for Outworld have that mark?
I don't know.
We did because we didn't see that. We only saw it for the Earth ones.
But they referenced, him getting his mark from killing somebody, and Cabal had mentioned that, he was left for dead, so that kind of by Kano, so it kind of implies that that's where the mark came from was from Cabal, but if it came from Cabal, then why is Cabal still breathing?
Because he could have got back to life by by mystical means or something like that.
So he got brought back to life and moved to Outworld and developed powers. All right, makes sense. Fair enough.
Nothing in this movie made sense for me.
I, and
I mean,
again, it's not
I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, that the chameleon thing was like dripping um,
acid.
acid all over the place, but yet Kano's able to reach into his body and pull his heart out without his arm burning off from the acid. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the fight scenes. It was a little gorier than I was expecting. It was shocking at first. That opening fight scene between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and just the whole scene from, the moment that Sub-Zero appeared until Raiden came and took the child was fantastic. That fight scene is still one of my favorites. Um,
Even with the death through by the shoulder wound.
yeah, I didn't, because I just kind of let that go because he's been stabbed like 10 times and by that point anyway, so it could have been one of a million wounds. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, it's a video game movie. I had to suspend some disbelief, but that entire fight scene was fantastic.
It was right until that point where I went, "What the fuck just happened?"
The
So
rest of the fight scenes throughout were maybe a little too short, maybe a little choppy. Like the only really good fight scene was the one between Cole and that lizard chick. Um, and that we ended up seeing about a quarter of it because they kept cutting away to Liu Kang and Cabal.
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed all the fight scenes, honestly. But um, that's what I'm saying. If you are wanting to watch like a Mortal Kombat, movie, and that's what you're looking to watch, just kind of like watch like watch the opening scene and then watch like 45 minutes in or like hour and 15 minutes into it or whatever, and you'll get some good action. But
Yeah.
if you're trying to watch it for like a plot and something you can actually follow, and you don't want to like do an MST3K session with it, you probably don't want to watch the whole movie.
And if you're looking for an actual storyline that makes sense, watch the first one from 1993. I mean, honestly, or 94, 95, whenever it came out, because that storyline actually made a whole lot more sense than this one.
Oh, never saw that one, and I don't plan to.
Yeah, I kind of figured you wouldn't, but I'm just saying, and that's why I was so, because I mean, that was that was my childhood. So when that movie came out, I was all for it. And it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but at least it followed the video game storyline. This,
It wasn't your childhood. You were 19 or 20 years old when that movie came out.
yeah, but the video game was from
Like when you were like 17 or something.
16, 17. That's considered childhood. I was still not an adult. I mean, come on, I'm not going to sit and watch a movie about Pac-Man. Let's be honest.
Did you ever play the game without putting the blood code in?
No, never,
Me
not one
neither.
time.
Me neither. Okay, just wondering.
No, there was
All
no
right.
point. There was no
So
point to it.
so guys, that's what we got for this week. For next week, we're gonna be covering, like we talked about, Shadow and Bone, the first four episodes of the 8 episode series. Um, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes, about I don't know, 10 minutes or so to talk about this week in wrestling.
10, 15-ish. Not a whole lot came on, but I do have some Kyle O'Reilly stuff I want to talk about. Oh, and before we go, something that ties into this and wrestling. When The Miz found out on Friday that they are casting Johnny Cage for the next one, he posted a Twitter picture of himself dressed up like Johnny Cage, and the co-creator of the original Mortal Kombat series actually said that he looks perfect in that role. So, if there is a sequel to this pile of crap, it may end up starring The Miz.
I can definitely see where the Miz would make a perfect Johnny Cage for sure.
Yeah, I mean he pulls that off. There, he's a Hollywood A-lister. He looked. I mean, I don't know if you saw the picture or not that he posted. It's on his Twitter, but man, he looks the part. I think he'd be great as it.
He may be a little bit too old for the role though.
Eh, eh. I mean, Raiden's like 3,000 years old, or probably older than that.
Yeah, he
So is
yeah,
Sub-Zero. If you think about it, Sub-Zero's like 4,000 years old.
I know that, but Johnny Cage is a human.
Yeah, but he could be 40.
Sure.
All right. Anyway, so we got another one we're going to do here in just a few minutes. Give us 10 minutes to reset, and then we'll be doing some wrestling talk.
Cool.